Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty. And apologies for the weird little delay there. One of my regulars who I don't see very often came in the store, and we were just standing around chatting, having a really good time. And I didn't want to rush them out the door. Feels kind of bad. I know people might be waiting for this, but on the other hand, most of my views come way after I go live. So in the end, I'm sure it all balances. Today, we are reviewing Robins. This one on the cover, it says it is the winner of the DC Round Robin. I have no idea what that was or what that means. And to be honest, I didn't really know much about this one going in. Seeley's name on the cover was enough to make me go, yeah, okay, I've read some Tim C I quite like. Rivas and Fajardo Jr., I have no idea. I assume the artist, and there's a dog going crazy outside, the artist does a good job. There is very little about the artwork that's really worth getting into in detail, though. It's kind of DC in-house style. There's some moments where they drag a focus into the much closer to a character's face, which are well worth taking the time to enjoy. But the main point of artwork, which is really quite cool, is the very last page. And this is not a bad thing at all. Hang on, I say last page. This is the extra bonus stuff about the Batgirls at the end there. But for the actual comic, but the last page is the introduction of a new character. I'll say new character. Apparently, it's the first Robin who appears to be English, and definitely a woman, or at least presents feminine. And clearly also a little bit not all there, potentially the villain of the piece. Who knows? Maybe it's just going to be another one of those Batman things where they take a bad guy and rehabilitate. It's not like it's not happened before, which is kind of what Batman should be doing rather than just punching people who are poor. So, let's see how this one goes. But other than that one bit of artwork and a couple of minor pieces, it just goes through the motions. And I don't mean this is a bad thing. Sometimes I'd rather have interesting artwork than competent, but other times I'd rather just have somebody who does the job well than somebody who takes risks and pushes it beyond the point where it's going to be enjoyable. This is enjoyable, and I did enjoy the artwork throughout it. The writing, though, is far more interesting to talk about, because we start fairly early on with a bunch of anarchist-themed terrorists, the Disciples of Anarchy, or DOA, excellent name, but they are very much presented as not being anarchists in any way, shape, or form. Now, for people who don't know about anarchism, don't know about this kind of thing, I do apologize. I'm not going to spend ages talking about it, but what they come across as far more is QAnon. They're basically people who get together on message boards discussing conspiracy theories, trying to break codes. They're all about the deep state and various other very right-wing talking points. Not to say that anarchism doesn't have these kind of issues as well, but the way it's presented is very much far to the right rather than far to the left. Even to the point that they invoke Sturm und Drang, but really dislike the idea of individualism when it doesn't matter to them, which is at its crux of what fascism is. Basically all about individual primacy of power of a cultural societal group, and they're willing to jump onto any ideology and ally with anyone to get that going across. Having them labelled as anarchists bugged me at the start of it, but then realised it is just a facet of what Seeley was doing about fascism. And it's like, okay, cool. Then you have this bit where they're just sitting around the table talking. And again, I'm just like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel like it's exactly what I wanted. There's some nice little character moments, some nice little interplays, but it feels like it carries on for just a little bit too long. After the initial kind of excitement of blowing stuff up and a political debate and a quite cool fight scene, it takes the wind out of the sails of the story. But they all does lead up to the reveal of this new Robin, who actually gets a little bit of foreshadowing right at the beginning, but it's kind of minor and consequential. It's terrifying because something very, very bad happens, but it doesn't feel like it's part of the story yet. It just feels like it's a prologue rather than part of the story. But when you do get the reveal, it kind of makes sense that they took a little bit more time to get to it, because this is a new Robin, or the oldest of the Robins. So getting a quick little reminder about who these people are, and even though it's done kind of two-dimensionally, you don't get like in-depth characterizations. You don't get much other than this is how or why I became Robin, and this is how or why I think I was the Robin that people needed at the time. That is the be-all and end-all of the discussion. But when you're using that as a frame to lead on to introducing a new character who's also a Robin, all of a sudden it makes sense. Basically, that's two different times now when I've read this comic book where the writing has bugged me at the start of it, and I've realised there's been intent which I hadn't realised at the time, but it gets revealed to me. And I've enjoyed it because of that. That is actually a sign of good writing. It isn't everything you want it to be. It isn't predictable. It isn't feeding stuff to me in a way that I'm comfortable with. It's challenging me and making me rethink my ideas and my intentions as well. Seeley actually does knock it out of the park a little bit on this one, but the overall concept of a bunch of Robins hanging out with a new Robin, I'm still not sure it's something which appeals to me enough to put it onto a pull list. Maybe once it's finished, depending on like a critical reception of the later issues, maybe I'll get the collection and actually see what the point of it all was. But at the moment, it felt like it's just a couple of good examples of how to write rather than how to write a really good comic book from start to finish. Who knows, though? I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. That's it for me this week. I'm going to come back on Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. Our delivery schedules are all still up in the air, but I should at least have something for you in the ones a new comic book day, maybe even some reviews, but we'll see how it goes. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.